All right, so basically what you need to get out of this slide is the location of both the xylem and phloem. All right, and we do need to be familiar with those two terms. Okay, what does the xylem carry again? Water. Okay, xylem carries water and it's on the inside. That sap is quite a bit thinner because it's basically just a solution of ions and minerals and things like that in water. The phloem sap is on the outside. Okay, that's essentially where the living cells of the trunk of the tree are, or the stem are. Okay, and that's going to be transporting sugars, which is a much more viscous sap. It's more like the consistency of syrup. Okay, that's going to be transporting down the plant using what force? Gravity, yeah. Something's going to move downwards. Gravity is the easiest and freest force to use. Okay. However, to transport water up the plant against gravity requires some work to be done, and that work is being done by osmosis, right? Okay. All right. So the xylem, like we said, transports water up the plant. Okay. I cannot remember the last time I didn't ask that. I've never not asked that. Okay, on a unit exam. What does the xylem transport? What does the phloem transport? It's important. We got to know it. Okay, that tissue is located in the center of the stem or trunk. Okay, and that transport is accomplished by osmosis and the polar nature of water. All right, would you be required to explain that a little bit? Yes, that's what the next sentence does. Okay, it's talking about that osmotic pressure that gets created by water evaporating through the stomates, leaving salts and other minerals behind in the spongy layer. Okay, and then that creates the osmotic pulling action that draws water out of the xylem. Okay, and draws water up the xylem because they're all connected by the polar nature of water, the hydrogen bonds, cohesion and adhesion, which is what we see here. Right, so we got cohesion bonding the water molecules together, adhesion helping them stick to the inside of the xylem. How big are the xylem tubes? Not very big. They're microscopic, in fact. Jake, question? Because they need it in order to set up the osmotic balance that draws the water in. Yeah, so it's always in there. Plus, minerals are important, not just for transport, but I mean, they need them, just like we need minerals, right? Okay. Like if all you ever drank was totally RO water with no minerals in it, that's actually not all that healthy. It's important to get minerals in your body. They're used for all kinds of things. Okay. All right, the phloem transports sugars. All right, so the job of the phloem transports sugars, okay, and it does that down the plant, right, to tissues that are not capable of producing it for themselves, mostly the roots, okay, but sometimes the stem as well, especially if it's the trunk of a tree, because if you probably noticed, the trunk of the tree isn't very green, right? If it's a woody plant, then the stem, the cells in the trunk are also going to need to be supplied with sugar because they're not carrying out photosynthesis. All right, so that's accomplished mainly by gravity, because gravity is, again, free and pulls things in a downwards direction. Stupid gravity, always pulling me down. Okay, process is slow because the phloem sap is very thick. Okay. If the phloem sap gets too thick, then osmosis will happen. Water can be drawn out of the xylem and into the phloem if the phloem sap becomes too thick, because then the concentration of sugars can create an osmotic pressure that can actually pull water out of the xylem and thin the phloem sap enough to run. Okay, questions on xylem and phloem? Okay, the stuff I've underlined would definitely be the stuff you would need to talk about in a question on an exam relating to said xylem and phloem. Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to answer those questions and then we'll go through them together. Okay, so what process or processes are used in both intracellular transport and transport in multicellular organisms? Sorry. Okay, diffusion's one. Osmosis, okay, it's huge, right? We saw it being used in a whole bunch of different situations. And what else? Which one, Cal? Oh, okay. Fernando? Active transport, yeah, we saw. I mean, active transport is used the least, but it is used a little bit by the roots in order to help set up an osmotic imbalance. It still transports from like their tubes to another area. So when I've got blood moving through my veins and into my capillaries, okay, or from my arteries, sorry, into my capillaries, it gets out of my capillaries and goes into my other tissues by diffusion, right? So, well, not the blood, but the nutrients that are in it. Yeah. Okay. That's, I mean, I've got an active transport system of my circulatory system moving things to the point where they're close enough for diffusion to work effectively. Does that sort of make sense? All right. If you were tapping a maple tree to harvest sap for syrup, which transporting tissue are you tapping? The phloem. Yeah. Tapping the xylem will not be something anyone wants to put on their pancakes. Okay. It'll just be like runny dirt water. Yuck. Okay. Not on my waffles. All right. And where is it located? The outside. So that tap isn't very deep. Okay. When you drive in a tap into a maple tree, you don't want it to go like 3/4 of the way through the tree. Right? You just want it to go in a little bit to catch the sap from the phloem. All right. In the leaf, why are so many cells packed together near the surface of the leaf? Yeah. Right. They're carrying out photosynthesis. Anyone remember what that layer was called? No. No. The epidermis secretes the cuticle. The spongy layer, palisade layer. That's a term you need to know. Okay. The palisade layer is that layer that's being talked about right there. Okay. How are they continually supplied with water? The xylem brings it up. Okay, there's veins that run into the leaf, just like there's veins that run into your tissues. Okay, and stuff can diffuse out of those veins. They can move by osmosis out of those veins. Okay, and get to the cells where they're needed. Okay. Yep. Anywhere where there's a vein, there's phloem and xylem. The outside of the vein is phloem. The inside of the vein is xylem. Okay. If you look at those pictures that we looked at here. Okay. So here's the vein. The outside of it is phloem. The inside of it is xylem. Yes, the vein generally runs through the spongy layer, yes. Okay. Would a plant be better able to transport water to its leaves on a humid day or a less humid day? Kelly? Less humid. Think about it. When it's really humid, what is there a lot of in the air? Water, and things don't want to move from low concentration to high concentration passively. Okay, so photosynthesis is a little bit slower on a day where evaporation is slower. Okay, that's just sort of how it goes. Okay, now that doesn't hurt the tropical rainforest any, right? It's always warm there, and there's always lots of sun. They can still carry out lots of photosynthesis. Okay, but when you think about how fast things grow here in the summertime, well, it's a little drier, and we're getting how many hours of sunshine? A lot, right? Okay. I mean, in the tropical rainforest, one day in January is the same as one day in June, is the same as one day in September. There's very little change in day length. Okay. But up here, the day length changes considerably. As you've probably noticed, it's like not light till after 8 o'clock now. Okay. And it's getting dark a lot earlier. In another 2 months, we'll come to school in the dark and we'll leave in the dark and we'll all be depressed and have seasonal affective disorder. Okay. But just remember, after December 21st, the days will be getting longer again, if that's any comfort. Okay. Number 5, you have a plant that does not look very full. That is, it has a few stringy branches. If I want to make it look more full, what do? Trim it, yeah. Okay. The more I trim it, okay, if I trim it back, then it grows from buds that are further back, maybe more than one bud, and that'll make it appear fuller over the course of time. Okay. Good.